Greetings! And now we turn to another featured interactive partner workshop. This new element of the Borlaug dialogue focuses on tools and programs transforming food systems through uncommon and diverse partnerships. Our second workshop, presented by the LadyAgri Impact Investment Hub, demonstrates what can be accomplished by taking a gender-smart investment approach to commodity and food production in Africa. This program is increasing equitable access to resources for women in over a dozen countries across Africa. LadyAgri offers an exciting next hour with speakers from the international finance sector, agribusinesses, development institutions, and most importantly, women agripreneurs and women-led cooperatives. This workshop celebrates the successes already occurring in medium-sized, women-led agriculture value chains in Africa. The work of LadyAgri equips women-owned businesses to meet national food and market requirements through training, finance, networking, and so much more. We're excited to shine the spotlight on an important role for women in agriculture through this substantial work already progressing in Africa.
Good morning, good evening, wherever you're joining us from. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the LadyAgri workshop on accelerating women's access to productive resources to produce more and better. But before we enter into discussions and formal introductions to our wonderful panelists, we would like you to come with us on the LadyAgri journey through a short video inviting you all to look through our lens. Thank you.
Look through our lens and see what we see. Energy, determination, and pure tenacity. She rises every morning, frail, vulnerable, no way. She bears the strength of 10,000 armies, a locomotive driving forth, pulling so many wagons, trailblazing forward on and on. We stand in her corner. We stand by her side. We carry her when necessary, not aid but pride. She must reach her full potential, for behind her are thousands counting on her. With her comes a rising tide. Daughters, sisters, sons, she carries them all. If she can make it, they too will rise. The movement, pure energy, positive, regenerating, renewing, cyclical power. Just imagine what we can build together, the highest tower. So we whisper together, and that whisper will become a roar. It's time to let her in and open the door. For she does not come alone, but with her an army 10,000 strong. Look through our lens and see what we see. Energy, determination, and pure tenacity. So give her the tools to grow, build, and strive. If only the doors would open, then she and all behind her could thrive. Markets, banks, it's time for change. Let her in. Listen, it's a new age. Look through our lens and see what we see. Energy, determination, and pure tenacity.
Thank you. So welcome. We're honoured to be hosting this workshop, and we want to take the opportunity, myself and my co-founder, Ayele Gabiam, to extend our gratitude to the World Food Prize Foundation, especially to President Barbara Stinson, such an amazing gender champion, and her amazing team who've brought all of us together today. We're joined by women agri-entrepreneurs from across the African Union and our partners and supporters here in Europe and the USA. So allow us to introduce our distinguished panel. We will be joined today by a video recording from President Gilbert Humbo from IFAD, also from Ms. Josephine George Francis, who is President of the Farmers Union Network of Liberia. We will be joined by Taryn Barkley, who is Senior Director of Strategic Partnerships and Stakeholder Relationships at Cargill. We will also be joined by Jessica Espinosa, who is the 2-times challenged chair and also the gender finance lead for KfW-DEG, which is the German Development Finance Institute. Then we'll be followed by our good friend, Dr. Leonard Mitzi, who is the head of the DG for Planet and Prosperity at the DG of International Cooperation and Development for the European Union here in Brussels. So welcome to all of you. President Humbo was not able to join us, as I said, live, given his agenda. However, we are very, very thankful that during a mission he had in Finland last week, he actually took the time to make a special message and register that for us. President Humbo, his thoughts are aligned fully with that of LadyAgri, and we share a common goal to accelerate women's access to productive resources. During President Humbo's speech, there are a couple of photos from our recent field missions from LadyAgri to both Cameroon and Liberia, which was even as recent as last week. So we now know that those photos will remind us of today's conversation topic, which means it's the women who are driving our food systems. And our job today as LadyAgri is to keep these amazing ladies front and centre to our discussions. So let's listen to the words now of President Humbo. Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me to talk today about a topic that is very dear to my heart. Women are playing an ever more important role in producing the food we eat. In sub-Saharan Africa, they are about 60% of those working in agriculture. The wide-ranging benefit of investing in empowering women are well documented. If women in agricultural production worldwide had the same access to productive resources as men, they could increase yields on their farms by 20 to 30% and raise global agricultural output by between 2.5 and 4%. When a woman earns more money, she tends to invest it in her family. There is good evidence that a woman's education, health, nutrition, and decision-making power have a direct impact on the nutrition and health of her children and entire family. But women around the world tend to be excluded or overshadowed by men when it comes to economic opportunities. We see this too in rural communities where men all too often dominate the most profitable activities of marketing and selling farm produce, leaving women to the less profitable area of production. In addition, in some part of the world, traditional practices and attitudes are often entrenched in rural communities. As a result, women have less access to education, less access to finance, and less access to productive resources such as land and water. Women spend far more time than men in unpaid work, cooking, fetching wood and water, and looking after the young and the elderly, leaving them less time for work that will generate income. Today, 80% of the world's poor and 2/3 of the hungry live in rural areas and depend on natural resources for their livelihoods. Indigenous people, women, and youth are particularly vulnerable to poverty. Too often, they are the ones most affected by climate change. At IFAD, we know we will not fulfill our mandate to eliminate poverty and hunger in rural areas unless we reach and empower women. That's why gender equality is an integral part of our programs and why women make up half of those reached by the projects we support. At IFAD, we talk about transformative change in gender roles and relations. Working with local people using our household methodologies has led to more men actively participating in domestic chores. Women having more autonomy to make independent purchases, including land, and women buying and selling livestock and other produce. As a result, households enjoy greater food security and more children are attending school. We have also observed the marked reductions in gender-based violence. Increasing gender equality can deliver strong economic growth. It can help cut extreme poverty and reduce chronic hunger. It can promote peace, and it can benefit entire families and empower all those who face discrimination. As we strive for more sustainable food systems and communities that are more resilient to climate change, women should be fully integrated into the business models of agriculture supply chains. Investing in rural women leaders and involving them more closely in creating our post-COVID future is critical. As we learn the lessons of the pandemic and accelerate our battle against rural poverty, we must ensure that women's perspectives and needs are considered. We must build back better with women at the forefront, food systems that provide equal access to nutritious food and decent livelihoods for all. Thank you.
I think those words certainly ring home. And again, some of the photos that we had inserted there were really to keep us all focused on the fantastic ladies we're talking about. And President Humbo mentioned that it's very important that we also support those leaders. And so I had the opportunity to spend last week with our next panelist, Mrs. Josephine George Francis, who's president of the Farmers Union Network Liberia. She leads a network of 50,000 farmers. She's been a member of Parliament in Liberia during President Ellen Sirleaf's tenure and has actively lobbied for women's access to land and resources. Last week with Josephine and her team, we visited 3 different counties to visit women's farmers associations and women cooperatives, their leaders in Bomi, Bong and Montserrado County. Our mission was part of our support to Alliances for Action, which is a regional support programme being implemented by ITC, which is the International Trade Centre, and country partners producing Robusta coffee, and all of those countries are member of an organisation called ACRAM. This is an EU co-finance programme and it's promoting inclusive agri-value chains. So our focus is coffee, and needless to say, naturally enough, if LadyAgri is involved, it's to accelerate women and youth's capacity within those coffee producing countries. Josephine is joining us live tonight from Kigali, Rwanda, where she's attending the Pan-African Farmers Organization board meeting, which brings together all of the regional farmers organizations. Welcome, Josephine. We had an amazing week together. We were even invited to debrief with President Sirleaf herself on our mission. So tonight, can you share with us what your priorities are right now to ensure women farmers have access to those productive resources we need so much to do more and better in the Liberian food system, and especially in the post-COVID context, given Liberia is a post-conflict country and has also faced other challenges like we saw last week, like Ebola. Over to you, Josephine.
Thank you, Hilary, for the introduction. Good evening, everyone. Let me tell you a little bit about my small country. We about 4.5 million people, and we have, Liberia has 100.
I think we have a connection issue.
Union Network have a membership of 55,000 members, 18,000 women, 23,000 men, and 14,000 youth. Farmers Union is strengthening women participation at all levels of the supply chain to improve processing through the coffee value chain in our country. With support from our partner ITC, Alliance for Action, we are training farmers on climate smart agriculture that will increase the production and also and create resilience because of the climate change. And sustainable, we're building sustainable capacity and also making sure that they are trained on quality production. ITC have worked with Liberia now for the last 10 years in different sectors. To have had a 5 days workshop with Hilary, who traveled to 3 counties, meeting rural farmers, female rural farmers, and telling her the stories, especially after the crisis, the war, the Ebola, and now the COVID-19. Liberia have 2 varieties of coffee, the Robusta coffee and the Liberica coffee, which is native to our country. It's strengthening resilient to climate change and very variable to climate change. The conversation is ongoing with the government of Liberia on sustainable Liberia indigenous food system to ensure food security. There are constraints and challenges in all aspects of our food system. The COVID-19 pandemic was a very serious threat to our production. The threat to smallholder farmers that depend on our neighboring countries for food. IFAD is also implementing a cocoa project with 10,000 farmers in Nema County. The project cost is $46.6 million. We want our partners to also invest in microfinancing to the smallholder farmers. Agriculture is a business, and we want to increase in trade and not aid. We are appealing to our partners to help us get there. We cannot do this alone. We need to stand on the shoulders of strong partners to invest in the women in agriculture production. We need support to link our farmers to digital banking, mobile money, village and savings loans, which have very small percentage with women in our country. Women coffee producers and roasters, we need financial opportunities to invest into machinery, seeds, land, and other agriculture inputs. Our 3 pillars are economic profitability, innovation and technology, and having access to market. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Josephine, to have shared with us your journey and also all the challenges facing by the women-led businesses in Liberia. So now our next video clip was showing LadyAgri research work this year in partnerships with the World Food Programme Egypt, the civil society CEOSS and FAO. This short clip was the practical solution which can be put in place and make a difference in the women farmers' lives, so they can make the link to the market and also ensure food security for their families. Thank you.
In Egypt, there are around 60,000 of them. Every village you go, you will have a community development association. These are registered with the Ministry of Social Solidarity. All the loans and the cash that we are doing is actually managed through the community development associations.
جالي فكرة إن أنا أعمل مشروع أوسع دخلي لعيالي، ألاقي دخل ليا لبيتي. في صاحبتي أما لقيتني أنا بعمل المشروع ونجح معايا، وبقول لها أنا بيدخل دخل ليا عن الأول، مش كنت بلقى لعيالي أي دخل، لقيت المشروع معايا وسع. راحت هي رخرة عنا المشروع، وهي بدأت رخرة عملت زيي وبتوسع المشروع بتاعها ونفع معاها وسعت المشروع وعامله يعني زي بالظبط.
بعلم بنتي اللي في الجامعه، ما بقولش لجوزي هات، فبيبقى سهل عليا القرش بقى، مش صعب عليا زي الاول. لو كانت الحياه مخنوقه، فالحمد لله يعني الحمد لله يا رب. وطبعا رك طبعا على عبير بنت اخويا بنت اختي اللي هي اتعلمت بقى، وبتقول لك بقول لها ده تبع ايتي تبع برنامج الغذاء العالمي.
لو في واحده ظروفها زي نفس الظروف اللي كنت انا فيها، تبتدي تدور وتسال وتعرف المشاريع دي بتتعمل ازاي، وتروح المكانات دي وتسال وتحسن من دخلها وتساعد بيتها وتساعد جوزها وتساعد عيالها.
So I think there we're looking at very practical solutions, and when we look at the response of these women, it shows how they really make the best when we actually give them the necessary support. And so I have the opportunity now to first of all welcome our guest, Ms. Taryn Barclay, who's Senior Director of Strategic Partnerships and Stakeholder Relations in Cargill. And we'd also take this opportunity to announce some news, literally fresh off the press, so to say. LadyAgri is launching a new program in Cameroon with the support of Cargill through our King Baudouin Foundation Fund in the US, and it's to specifically support women in cocoa growing communities. Our program will focus on building agribusiness skills of women's organisations and women in cooperatives to produce more and better food and to access more profitable markets. We can see there the clear impact in Egypt. So Taryn, we all know the international weight of Cargill in our food systems and agri-value chains such as cocoa. What would be the priorities for Cargill right now? We're in uncertain times, as we all agree, coming out of COVID. So how are you tackling these social, climate issues that we're all facing, but perhaps more so women, given our discussions this evening? And we know women are on the front line when it comes to food insecurity, climate change, and obviously they're the drivers of our sustainable food systems, but perhaps we need to be focusing more support. So it'd be great to get your thoughts on that, Taryn. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hilary, and thanks for the opportunity to be part of this fantastic event and such a distinguished panel. So at Cargill, our purpose is to be the leader in nourishing the world in a safe, responsible, and sustainable way. Global agriculture and global development are intrinsically connected. which is why we believe that agriculture is how we can also address the social and environmental challenges facing the sector. This includes the ability to close the gender gap by helping female farmers and women in agricultural communities to gain the equal access to the resources that they need, whether it's financing, education, or economic opportunity. Cargill is committed to advancing gender parity by empowering all women and girls, not just in our company, but also across our supply chains. We see partnerships as a key way of helping to deliver on this. And in 2019, we launched a new phase of our engagement with CARE, a long-standing partner for Cargill, which more closely aligned to the She Feeds the World program, aimed at providing female farmers and their families around the world with education, resources, and economic support to increase food and nutrition security and build climate resilience. And a particular example of the work that we do around the world in Cargill is through our cocoa business, which has made women's economic empowerment a cornerstone of the Cargill Cocoa Promise, which is our commitment to enabling cocoa farmers and their communities to achieve better incomes and living standards. Our cocoa programs across our origin countries are shaped by activities focused on improving farmer and community livelihoods, encompassing training and coaching, environmental protection, technology, and innovation, as well as that critical value of partnerships. And that's why engaging with organizations like LadyAgri is so important. And we're really pleased as well to also be starting this new collaboration with you in Cameroon, really collaborating to build a holistic approach to how we can build technical and entrepreneurial capacity in cocoa growing communities to really focus on upskilling women across a range of different dimensions. And I think that's really the critical opportunity, because for me, the best way that I think partnerships can really deliver impact and success is when we're leveraging unique expertise and technical knowledge, of different partners. So Cargill bringing the contribution that we can make, our unique expertise, technical contribution, with the critical community development expertise and knowledge that our partners have. And that when crisis hits, like something like we've experienced over the last year and a half, we really want to help communities to be better able to recover through the combination of the interventions and support that they receive, as well as the ability of all partners to quickly adapt. I think if anything that this time has taught us is the ability to be agile, to adapt, and to embrace the learning of this time. We want agricultural communities to be inclusive and successful. We want women to be able to build their own resilience and ability to respond at all times, and in particular in times of crisis. So we really see the impact that the power of partnerships offers us. In collaboration with others, we can achieve so much more than we can on our own. And by particularly focusing on female farmers and women in those agricultural communities, we can really help to increase their productivity and profitability with sustainable agricultural practices, helping them to be connected to more markets and building more resilient households and communities. We're excited by the potential that partnerships offers us to deliver on this, and we really look for continued innovation and learning to help us grow and ensure that we deliver the impact that we're all aiming to achieve. So thank you for this opportunity to talk a little bit about the work that Cargill is doing and how we're really seeing the potential of partnerships such as we're embarking on with LadyAgri.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ms. Barkley. We are really looking forward to working with Cargill. Your words really highlight the need for out-of-the-box public, private, and civil society partnerships. Our next video now is from an inspirational group of LadyAgri women-led SMEs in Kenya who are working on an extremely important topic, which is the access to renewable energy, sustainable forestry, and clean cooking solution in Kenya. There is an intrinsic link on how we produce food, how we manage our environment, and this journey takes us from forest to fork. Climate and food are interlinked, and our management of both are intrinsic to the sustainable food system. Take a look now.
I was introduced to briquettes by my son, and he told me this was an alternative source of clean cooking fuel instead of charcoal. And it got me excited because when I looked around in the rural area where I'm staying, everybody either cooks with charcoal or firewood.
Despite our voices over the last 5-10 years, I just feel as though the issue of lack of clean cooking solutions, lack of sustainable cooking solutions is still yet to be heard.
So our next guest needs very little introduction. Jessica Espinosa is a true gender champion within and outside the impact investment arena. Jessica is chair of the 2x Challenge initiative, which brings together committed development finance institutions who really want to move the dial and accelerate women's access to finance. Jessica is also the gender finance lead for the German development bank KfW DEG, a keen investor in agri-value chains. Only a fortnight ago, Jessica led the organisation of the Future of Impact Summit to mainstream the gender lens investment and support to girls and women. We're all working together to bridge those gaps, such as the finance divide and the digital divide. Jessica, we've had many a heart-to-heart over the last year on how we need to provide real access to appropriate agri-finance to women-led SMEs and women in agri-value chains, and especially now given the nexus between agriculture and climate change. So what for you were the priorities to ensure women are fully included in this post-COVID phase of building back better, and within the context of the very fast approaching COP26? Thanks, Jessica.
For the nice introduction, and hi everybody. It's a great pleasure to be here and to see so many partners. As Hilary mentioned, the COP is approaching, and I think from my perspective, looking at the last few years and also how we've navigated the crisis so far, the business case and the impact case for investing with a gender and a climate lens, and especially putting women in agri-value chains at the forefront of a just recovery, I think that case is clear and is made. What I see as a priority for the next 6 months is really to move from talking and recognizing this case to actual action. And that's why I'm particularly excited about the movement that LadyAgri is leading across the continent, but also connecting with other women entrepreneurs and other networks really across the globe to give women who are in these rural areas, as we've seen in the videos, a voice and really put their perspectives at the center of our solutions. If we look back at why some of the solutions haven't worked in the past, I think it is often because we have designed these solutions without actually listening to the people we want to serve with our solutions. And so I was really inspired by the remarks that Taryn just made from Cargill about how they are partnering and the power of partnerships. And that is something that I really see as a key priority under our new 2X collaborative industry body, where we're bringing together the entire spectrum of investors, we're partnering with Cargill, with LadyAgri, with all of these players to really develop holistic solutions that are tailored to the needs of real women on the ground who are so vital to the just recovery, and to make sure that we break out of the silos and bring these different worlds together. Hilary just mentioned the Future of Impact Summit and all of these events that have taken place. It's very interesting. I hear from one group of people worldwide that there's a financing gap. And then I go to the financing people and they tell me there's a capacity building gap. And I think all the solutions are there, but they are currently fragmented. And there's such a strong case for bringing it all together and just making the solutions more holistic and powerful. I'm very much looking forward to engaging with all of you at the COP26 and beyond. We will be launching our new toolkit for gender and climate smart investing, how you can integrate both lenses. And one of the key focus areas are women in agri-value chains and the agricultural sector. So very much looking forward to our continued collaboration. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Jessica. Thank you very much. We see that we need to break all those silos, and this is where also you can find LadyAgri. So now I'm very happy to welcome Mr. Leonard Mizzi. So for the short story, since the genesis of LadyAgri in 2016, we have paid a particular attention to women's access to the different EU financial and support mechanisms being put in place to strengthen the agri-value chain, to boost trade, and also the investment within the African small developing island state, and also in the African Union. So one of the reasons why we funded LadyAgri is to ensure that the women are in front and the center of the finance system, and not the one at the end of a proposal. So now with the EU Green Deal and the Farm to Fork strategy, we are also measuring the potential positive and negative impact for women within our food systems and agri-value chains. We had the opportunity to collaborate a few years ago and in many occasions with the European Union to accelerate the gender equity and to ensure the mainstreaming of women's particular needs within the EU sustainable food system approach and also partner countries across the African continent. Now, my question to you, Dr. Leonard Mizzi, who is the head of the unit for DG International Partnerships, is to know what is the EU, the European Union, doing at present to ensure that women stay front and center to our agriculture and food system approach with partners, countries, and region. What are the key priorities?
Thank you very much, and good afternoon and good evening from Brussels, and good morning to other parts of the world. First of all, thanks to LadyAgri and thanks to the participants of this event, because this comes 1 month after the UN Food System Summit, which amongst other issues discussed very much gender equality and women empowerment when this was tackled in Action Track 4, which was on inclusive value chains. First of all, I think what the European Union is doing is we are trying to be a trailblazer in terms of the gender action plan. Hilary, you know that a year ago, the European Union unveiled a gender action plan, which will hold the EU accountable, not only in terms of process, because there is a sense of process. 85% of new initiatives in the external action have to be gender sensitive. So that's one. Measurability is another one. And this has to be pretty much mainstreamed. We speak about sustainable agri-food systems, but also in your video clips, and this is a priority of our Commissioner Jutta Urpilainen in her mandate, it is the dimension of putting human capital, human development at the core. Because this is much more beyond agri-food systems. It is tackling health. It is tackling, we know COVID is primarily a health issue, which has ramifications beyond health. So health is at the core of the vision of the European Union in terms of external action. Education. COVID has also clearly had cracks in the education system. Kids could not go to school. This has an impact also on the productive capacity. And the European Union is giving a clear signal as we are now finalizing our programming, which is the financial package that was decided by our political masters and the institutions for the period 21-2027. This will start being rolled out in the countries that you mentioned, Liberia, Senegal, Rwanda, across the globe, with a clear priority on gender, on education, which has a 20% component in terms of full spending targets, 30% which has to be climate sensitive, 10% which is digital. One of the challenges that women empowerment and COVID and e-commerce and connectivity has showed is that if you are not connected in a digital sense, there is also a digital divide, which is also impacting women empowerment. So it is through a systems holistic approach that the EU is tackling this at country level. Hilary, whenever you go to delegations, the first port of call that I tell you to knock is our delegation, because the activity will be there. We are in the phase of designing the programs, and this is not only the Commission, this is also with our member states. Because if we really want to speak beyond process, Jessica mentioned finance. I always say in big fora, we speak about lack of finance, but there is finance. It's the typology of finance that we need to speak about. We have blending instruments and we have guarantees, but we also see that the guarantee schemes, and you are from KfW and we speak to the European Development Finance institutions, there is still a big problem of de-risking agriculture, and even more, a bigger problem of de-risking women leaders in agriculture value chain. So the first thing we need to discuss and decide is how this de-risking should take place. What are the typology of funds between microcredits, between blending, between guarantees, where financial institutions can really de-risk the operations that LadyAgri and its networks are doing. Primarily because financial institutions are somewhat averse on small ticket sizes. Everyone wants to go into big ticket sizes, 1 million or more, but very few want to go into the small ticket sizes. So this is what the European Union has been trying to do with its limits, because we also engage with the financial institutions, but we also saw that in the external investment plan that in all the portfolio we just had one proposal under agriculture. We are now preparing the next batch, and I hope that the likes of KfW, FMO, AFD, and the financial institutions, EIB, put more emphasis on sustainable agri-food systems with a woman lens. Capacity. One of the big priorities that we have done in the past 5 years that I have been in this unit is giving capacity to farmers' organizations in West Africa, in Asia, in Latin America. If we don't give the capacity to farmers' organizations, and that is why we are giving support to a lot of continental, but also regional farmers' organizations, is farmers' organization will not have the power to be protagonists in value chains. We spoke about cocoa. Hilary knows the work we have been doing in the past 12 months on sustainable cocoa in a multi-stakeholder approach, with also often a gender lens. This is hard work. If you really want to have a multi-stakeholder approach, multi-stakeholder being that you try to rebalance all the players within the value chain. including voices which are traditionally not heard, indigenous populations, women-led organizations, youth. We will not have agricultural food systems in 10, 15 years' time if we don't attract youth to food systems as a business, not just as a default because you don't find the job. So again, this is the work that we want to do, multi-stakeholder, rights-based approach, but sometimes the voluntary approach or the business as usual approach is not working. That's why we will also come up with some regulatory approaches. Those in the cocoa value chain know that the Commission is in the stage of making a proposal. This is still a proposal by the end of the year. It will be most probably in November on deforestation-free value chains. Cocoa is there because there is a problem of deforestation, but also of child labor and human rights in the social dimension. You can't have prosperity of women empowerment if there is no issue or tackling child labor, issues around education and schemes for children which create those safety nets. So it requires very much a policy approach at the robust, high level, prime ministerial, presidential level, dismantling silos across ministries. This is not the remit just of an agricultural ministry or the education ministry or the health ministry. This has to have strong interministerial buy-in, but also with strong leadership at the highest level. Then the European Union will engage. The issue of financing per se is not the problem. It's a question of smart policy mix, which is targeted, which is gender sensitive. And I think with players like LadyAgri, with the financial institutions, with the private sector, with women-led organizations, producer groups, youth organizations, civil society organizations, we need to work smarter, better at country level. So Hillary, let's continue to work at country level, but hold us accountable if things are not working well, especially in terms of measurable targets, because we will be held accountable on measurable targets in terms of the 85%, in terms of empowering real women in value chains, in terms of de-risking, in terms of finance. And I think also there is an opportune moment to discuss with KfW and financial institutions how really we tackle the root causes of access to finance, especially on small ticket sizes. This is going to be crucial because beyond capacity, liquidity, especially in post-COVID context or COVID context, remains a key concern in a number of countries, especially in Africa. Over to you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Leonard. I think we can feel the interest, the passion, and the history again, and looking on how we develop agriculture as well. Yes, we will promise you we will be holding the European Union accountable. And I think in terms of I'm watching our time, and I would really like to do the most important job of LadyAgri, which is really giving that voice back to the women agri-entrepreneurs and women leaders in the agri value chain. And I hope the panelists understand that we're limited in time. So I would like to get the reaction from Madam Josephine Francis, who is actually with all of the different farmers organizations across Africa at the moment in Kigali. I hope you can hear us well, Josephine.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
I'm so glad to hear the message from the European Union. I'm very excited. We're here in Kigali for 5 days, and we're here with 28 farmers organizations. And most of the presentation EU was mentioned. So it's nothing new of European Union supporting farmers all of West Africa, East Africa, South Africa. So I'm looking forward to this, and especially the women. Women need support. So we will be counting and see that next year, this time, we would be able to implement the European Union project, and the women in the cocoa sector and the coffee sector, when they hear this news, they will ready embrace it and be ready to work hard, because without food, we will not survive. So the theme for this workshop is Feed Africa, Feed the World, and Empower Women and Youth in the agriculture sector. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Josephine. I think very well summed up in the issue. Just to mention a couple of key points that was also made in the chat, and I think were also key messages from our panelists. So first of all, ensuring that women have access to technical capacity building, access to appropriate agri-finance. We know that microfinance comes up short when we need to actually develop a business, when we need to finance according to seasonality, and we need longer tenures there. So that is a key issue for LadyAgri and our pillar 2 of our methodology. Our pillar 3 is always about access to equipment, technology, energy, farm inputs, processing, right through to packaging, appropriate packaging. And I think that's also a key issue when it comes to the Green Deal and circular economy, and where we need to be at if we're thinking about limiting future pollution of the agri sector. What has also come across from the panelists is that there's a real will to have innovative public-private finance civil society partnerships. None of the organisations can do it alone. And we need to be answering all of those needs I mentioned earlier, and that Madam Josephine has also highlighted. And obviously we need to be producing for markets. So we need sustainable food, but we also need to have agriculture which is generating income and viable income, so as to be able to pay the health fees, pay the education fees, and make sure that our next generation can go forward. So in terms of timing, I'm looking to our organisers. I think we've respected the time. So with all. For myself, Ayele, would you like to say some final words?
Yeah, just want to say thank you again to the Work with Price Foundation team, to all the panelists. Thank you to join us. Thank you to join the LadyAgri journey. And yes, over to you, Hilary. Thank you very much.
So yes, we celebrated our 3rd birthday last week, and we hope we will be going forward in partnership with all of you in the next few years, and very keen to get back to our ladies in Cameroon and Liberia and other countries, and Guinea shortly, because that's what we're all about. So thank you to everybody. Taryn, fantastic to have you with you. Jessica, thanks so much. Leonard, Josephine, to Gilbert Humbo, who really made a special time to actually make that recording for us. And thank you to all of those who've participated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.